All right. Hi, guys. Lex Gray here. Welcome back. This is the final episode of Hulf and Mortar as a whole. This is it. I'm going to do my best to finish this off with spinaz and some narrative flair. I've been thinking about this episode for some time now, like how to close it off properly. We are about to enter the chamber of the Esper dragon. And we don't know what's behind these large concrete doors at the top of the Esper Peak. So, before we begin, I want to mention something very, very interesting. A few videos ago, I made a test run of the Easy D6 system, Easy D6 game, which was again made by a YouTuber called DM Scotty. No sponsorship, no relation, nothing. Just the game I picked up on my own. And again, I'm getting very much very used to it. I've been playing it on the side, off camera, chatting about it with a friend of mine, and it's very fun. Rules light, no attributes or stats, just hero path features, inclinations. There's boons, banes. You have a character. You have a backstory aspects. It's basically Fate mixed with a D6, and it's very, very intriguing. Apparently, it's had 2 years or so, I think, of test plays like conventions and such, actual like play testing before it was released, finalized. So DM Scotty is the creator of the game, and I'm wondering if he'll stumble upon this video, but he actually did comment on that video where I did a very simple dungeon crawl, procedural dungeon crawl using a deck of cards that has maps, like a small little tile with some descriptions. It was very fun. It was a very simple test. Could have expanded to a one shot, but I was just I want to get my bearings on the Easy D6 game. He commented. I did not expect that. I felt like it was an honor. Like I just discovered this game and I just discovered who DM Scotty was. And the fact that he commented was very enlightening to me. Like I felt honored. So if he's watching this now, thank you. I really appreciate it. Your system is very fun and it's growing on me. Like at first I was trying to get used to the no stats thing and no attributes, but then I'm seeing I've been playing games like Fate, which do have stats in a way, skills, but it's very heavy on narrative. This is a good little blend of both worlds. So I also wanted to mention that to my fans. I just did not have that on my bingo card this year, and it was very fun. I've had maybe rarely, but a few comments from slightly, not slightly bigger YouTubers out there, whether they made a game or not, but like YouTubers I follow or YouTubers who have just about this slightly more subscriber count than I do, I think. But yeah, it was very enlightening. It was a huge, um, very inspirational just to push me to try the game in the next arc even more. You guys voted on it. I was somewhat hesitant at first, but then I'm like, you know what? You guys voted. I have to honor the vote, which is something I've messed up on before. And because DM Scotty commented on one of my videos, which the video was about that game, I'm like, you know what? That's the final. That's the final mark. I need to pursue this game in full force in the next arc, which will be announcing today, Cornerstone. The next arc will be based in Cornerstone, right down here. This little location, the very, very bottom left corner, which we have never explored. We've talked about it a couple times, but we never actually explored it before. We don't know the conditions of it. We don't know the governance. We don't know who was in charge, who inhabits it, the lifestyle, the wealth factor, the crime rate, all that stuff. Halderth, we know, is probably my most fleshed out location on this map. amongst, Corewood. But there are some locations on here that we need to really explore more, and that's basically Barco Island, Septhane, and Corewood. The rest we've dabbled in, except for Castle Emberstock. We've met the person in charge of Castle Emberstock, King Jenkins, but besides that, there's a handful of locations we need to really dive into. And I feel Cornerstone is going to be an isolated one shot, not one shot, an isolated arc taking place in that location. So that's the big news. DM Scotty commented. I felt enlightened, and I'm more excited to try out Easy 6 in Escubar. But what's important right now is the here and now using the Chronica Feudalis system, our characters Holf and Mortar, as they approach the doors of the Esper Dragon. Let's go to our document. The Esper Dragon, just a little catch-up, little refresher. He is this big dragon, calls himself Esper, but he is roughly 1,000+ years old. He's basically based on Godzilla, or Gojira, and he is the dominant alpha male of the world. He is kind of the protective nature of the islands, whether it's chaotic or not. And we know he's dormant. I have stated that he's slowly withering away, which means he's dying. And the last fight he had with the Master spent his remaining life energy. So, with that in mind, I'm going to change the temple to a chamber. Basically, it is one large chamber. The exterior, let's say, looks like a dome shape structure. There is so much snow covering parts of it that a lot of it actually looks like it's been just damaged due to the natural environment of things. And at the moment, all our party sees are the two large stone doors. So, what happens next? $1 million question. As always, let's consult our oracle. First, we will do subject to kick this episode off, and then we'll do action. 54, investment. The action, investment to what? 23, investment to judge. Okay, well, the investment is the dragon. He's going to judge us. But how? Well, he's welcoming us. I think as we are staring, Hulth is trying to figure out how to enter this place. This door has no keyhole. There are no hieroglyphs. It is a solid, blank, concrete door. It's towering 12+ feet. There is no way to hop over. The cliff sides are steep. The doorway is the only way in. Well, Mortar doesn't have any ideas. I mean, let's see. Do they have any weapons on them or any gear that can help scale? Well, we have a longbow for Mortar. He has... That's it. No rope. Hulf has a longbow also. He has nothing else that can scale a wall. They can't climb it. There's no rope they can tie, shoot an arrow over. They don't have a grappling hook. They don't have a bat device to throw over. So they are at an impasse, literally. As they stand there, they hear the wind behind them. It's a howling wind. It is very ominous. And the wind blows below them towards the door. And it turns into a gust. Not pushing them against the door, but kind of forcibly making them turn around and look. As they turn and look, they see a lone individual. They see one individual, a human character. He's wearing very heavy winter clothing, Looks like he's been on a hike. He has a large bag of um, almost like think of like Santa's bag of toys. But it's a large duffel bag, just over his shoulder, and he's walking. He has some rope. He's got a like almost like a donkey coming with him, and the donkey has stuff on his sides. It then the individual stops, is looking at Mortar and Hulf, surprised to see them. Hulf turns around and does this, tells him to stop. Mortar kind of is not behind Hulf like a coward, but he's kind of just to the side, looking up, and says, whispers to Mortar, or Mortar whispers to Hulf, "Brother, who is that?" Hulf is looking, trying to figure out who this guy is. Now, this individual is not the master. If it was the master, it would be a physical person, a physical form of energy, dark energy. It's not the master. We don't know when the master is just yet. This individual, he has a very long, dark gray beard, and he has a hood over his head, covering his eyes, and he's looking down. He stops, and he puts his bag down. The donkey stops, and then he takes his hand and removes the hood to reveal a very, very old, decrepit-looking man, almost unlively. He almost looks dead. His eyes are, let's say, kind of light blue. There's no real iris. It's just the eyes are light blue. And his skin kind of looks rough, like scales almost. So as he reveals himself, his hands look very scaly, like rough, like not diamond, but it's hard to describe. Solid, if that makes sense. Kind of a tan, almost like a very dark mix between beige and red. Think of it like my skin here, but March a kind of darker red tone. And his ears are kind of pointy like an elf. Now, clarification, in my world, it's been inconsistent, but as far as races go, species, whatever you want to call it, we have encountered humans, obviously, the Sheshems, which is the current settlers, the Eldorians, which were the prior settlers. We don't really know much about them. Then there's the usual orcs and ogres. Um, that they've been once or twice we've encountered them. So just want to throw that clarification out there. This individual does not look human. He's humanoid. He is shaped like a human, but he's very tall. He's probably 10 feet tall. Actually, let's scratch that. He's 7, 8 feet. Just very, very tall, but not like superhuman in height. So Hulf kind of squints to see past the snow or the fog, maybe some wind blowing some snow, and he's beginning to think who this is. He has an idea who this is. You guys probably do too. I'm not going to say it just yet. But as he has his hand up and he says, "Who are you?" As he yells out, the individual who looks like, you know, someone got ran over by a bus doesn't say anything. He kind of slowly raises his hand and points. His nails are like very long grown. He points at Hulf, behind Hulf. Suddenly the doors shake and start to open behind him. Hulf and Mortar jump back to the sides and observe the door opening. These large, again, 12, 15 feet towering doors slowly opening, grinding against the floor, against the cobblestone floor. And so I mentioned there was cobblestone stairs that just went from the snow to reveal itself up to the doorway. And then it reveals a very wide courtyard. Let's say there's a fountain in the middle that has frozen water just kind of squirting out of it. And there is dead grass on the sides, like a dead garden. There's not much there's not much alive around here. It looks like it would have been a palace almost, like a luxurious looking palace, but it is dead. The water's frozen. It was once a very pristine, well maintained chamber, residence, essentially. So Holf quickly turns back. He pulls out his weapon. Let's see, he has well, not the magic sword. He pulls out his short sword and he aims it at the individual approaching. Mortar takes out his blade and kind of holds like this towards. They're both opposite sides between the doorway, and Holf says he looks back and he's confused. He doesn't say anything, but his eyes are focused on. Trying to think if there's any skill rolls here we can do, but I think right now we're in narrative mode. So this very old, decrepit-looking man that almost has the scaling skin of a certain species continues to walk slowly up to him. The donkey also with them, and so he walks between them, ignores them, and just continues inside. And then as he approaches the fountain, the middle of the courtyard, the donkey's with him. He turns around, kind of looks back, and looks at Holf and says, "Please." You can hear his voice kind of echoes the courtyard, very low, menacing, kind of gurgly. He goes, "Please, enter. I've been expecting you." And Holf, Mortar look at each other, concerned. They put their weapons away. Holf looks back at down the hill. No one's walking and no one's approaching. He's the only man. He's the only one. There are only three there. He puts his weapon. He puts it back in his sheath. Mortar puts his blade back and hesitantly back into his pouch or his belt. And the individual says, "Weapons won't be necessary." And he does this. He tells him. He gestures to them to proceed in. So Holf and Mortar slowly step inside this courtyard. The doors then close behind them as they watch it close, and kind of snow falls off as it's shaking and closes and hits, and then shuts. Ulf is he's not sure what to make of the situation. Mortar, though, we're going to basically make a aspect roll here, and this is dark bending, but I'm actually going to roll compassion here. Compassionate. Mortar is more empathetic compared to Holf. Out of the two, he's more emotionally invested, more open to showing his emotions than Mr. Judge Dredd himself. So we're going to do a roll here. I think from earlier, remember, Mortar's the one who had the visions. And he remembers what he saw. This is what he saw. He saw the chamber. We're going a little deeper now. Let's just say he saw the fountain, the doorway behind him, which is into the chamber. So there's a structure behind the fountain and there's the doorway. Mortar looks and recognizes the doors. He says out loud to the individual, he says, we have to roll an aspect here. This is a D8, and I am compelling him to make a roll here. If he fails, we'll see what happens. But the roll here is going to not necessarily be a compel. Actually, let me take that back. I'm going to do a skill roll here, with just not a skill specifically, but it's I'm invoking. So Mortar is voluntarily invoking the aspect compassion, and we're using that as a channel, as a way to channel his vision from prior, to remember the doorway. So let's go to our dice pool here, and we're doing it's just a D8, so D6, D8, and we're rolling. And remember, it has to be a 4 or more. 2. So I'm going to spend an ardor point to re-roll that, But I'm going to do a custom house roll here and do advantage. We'll pick the two of the the highest roll. Okay, they're either way, they successful. Okay, so we spent a custom house roll, just spent an ardor point to roll for advantage, and thus we're successful. So what this means narratively. Mortar says out loud that he recognizes the doorway, and he steps forward. The old man turns around to reveal himself more in the light. There's really no, strangely enough, there's no external conditions happening. There's no fog. There's no mist or any obscurity. There's no obstruction to sight. It's very clean air. It's strangely enough in this closed off courtyard. So Mortar walks, takes a step closer. Hulf says, "Wait, brother, what are you doing?" And he tells him, or let's say Mortar's kind of entranced, as always. He has a tendency to do that. He looks at the doorway and says, "I've seen this door before." And he looks to the old man and he says, "You're him. You're the dragon." And the old man kind of smirks, and does this. "Very good. You've seen past my disguise." And as he claps once, they suddenly appear in the chamber in front of the dragon. They are basically in this path, this red carpet that goes all the way up to the throne of the dragon, hence the uh this kind of like that. We see the large dragon himself, and he is, we can say he's standing like that. That picture does dictate, or it does um pretty well showing what how I'm assuming his current conditions are, his life, his current conditions as far as his physical form. So he is very withered. He's ill and he's dying. But he has mind tricks. So the Esper Dragon, let's write this down. I'm kind of adding this right now. He has the ability to cast illusions, and like I said, he's a reality bender. More so illusions, mind reading, etc. Mental powers. So that's his one of his many abilities. He could fly, blow fire, stuff like that. But he's very smart. He's a very intellectual dragon. He's been around for 1,000 years. So they just poof, they're right in the middle of the chamber. They open their eyes and they're witnessing the majesty that is the Esper Dragon. They look up and they're like, he's freaking huge. This dragon is 50 feet tall. His head, the tower, the chamber looks bigger than the inside. I like to make these movie references ever so often, but if you guys remember an old parody from the 90s, I think, or late 80s, with one of the Estevez's from Mighty Ducks, um, Loaded Weapon. It was a parody of Lethal Weapon and has Samuel Jackson. There's a joke where it's on the beach. His beach house, or his RV he lives in an RV at the beach, like a um, mobile home, and on the outside it looks like total shit. But when you walk inside, it's this mansion. It's a luxury. It's a continuity joke. It's a trick. It's basically a trick of sight. It's a location change, and it goes from this old looking terrible POS clunker to this multi-million dollar home on the inside. And he has towering columns, and he has a vast, large living room, a kitchen with the most best wines, and that's basically what happens here. So on the outside, it looks like a spherical dome, like a dome basically, but on the inside, it's a towering temple almost, a chamber, but more so a like a cathedral, I should say. So let's go basically on the outside. It looks like a outside, on the inside, a cathedral. If I remember how to spell cathedral. Inside. There we go. Cathedral. Whatever. Okay. I'm sure I spelled that wrong. Anyways. So the dragon, he is He's sitting, or kind of just, he's like a cat, like he's loafing a little bit. He's kind of just sitting on the platform. I don't think there's really a throne in. There's just like a looks like a chair behind him, but it's more like a platform, like a riser, a podium, and he's like this. His arm, he's looking, and he stands up, and the ground shakes as he takes these huge steps. But he's very slow, very slow. His tail whips around, his wings kind of stretch a bit, and he looks down at Hulf and Mortar. Mortar is just blown away. He is mesmerized. Hulf is mesmerized, but being Mr. Dread himself, he's pretty calm and collected. Or is he? So, we're going to basically. It's probably not necessary, but we're going to do stern authority. That's one of his aspects. If he fails, he's going to break here. So, we'll do a dice roll, and we're going to roll. He's going to attempt and invoke stern authority, but if he fails, he's going to not do well, not hold his composure continuously. So we're doing a d8 because that's usually what your aspects are at, and we need a 4 or more. Okay, fair, good. All right, he maintains his authority. He maintains his composure, being Mr. Sirius himself. He's standing there, but he looks up, and he's observing. Mortar kind of steps behind Hulf, like the little brother, scared out of his scared out of his mind. Yeah, he does shit himself probably back there. But anyways, he's just completely. He knew there was, he knew the dragon existed, but he did not. Wasn't sure how to. You can expect something, but once you actually see it for yourself, it can be a very different story. And that's currently Mortar's condition. So there's no like I don't know. I'm not sure what to roll here as far as willpower, perhaps. But let's just do it for fun. I mean, this is the final episode. Might as well. So D6. His willpower is D6, and we're trying to do. Can he invoke anything here? Oh, I need to spend a art point from Pulse last roll. Now I'm just doing a skill roll for Mortar to see if he can just stay on his legs here without crumbling. Nope, he can't. Okay, so Mortar drops to his knees, and he's scared out of his mind what he's looking at, like he's looking at a god in front of him. So the dragon, I'm trying to, sorry, I'm trying to imagine how he would speak. Because he was in that human form, which was just an illusion. There's no donkey, there's no old man. It's just what the dragon was able to muster in the last minute as Ulf and Mortar entered. He did let the doors open. They entered through the courtyard, but they're like more so teleported into the chamber after that. The Ulf probably says, he's looking around and says, "You're the Esper dragon. My brother was right. And you were the old man we just spoke to." The dragon looks down, kind of goes forward, lowers his head to the level of the two, and Mortar is like tries to kind of just jumps back. Hulk stands there staring face to face with this dragon based on our last roll, or 2 rolls ago. And the dragon says, "You are Hulk. I knew you would get here eventually, mortal." And he looks to Mortar. "Mortal, you are the intriguing one of the two." And he's looking at Mortar and says, You've envisioned your approach here." And he looks back at Holf and senses the magic sword. He says, "You've brought a powerful divine weapon, one that is quite special to me." And Holf is thinking of the magic sword. He's thinking of the magic sword. Not saying it, thinking about it. The dragon raises his head back up and says, "Yes, I know you have the magic sword on you. It was given to you by one named Shifa." And then that's where Hulf is basically says, "You can read my mind, can't you?" And Mortar is just kind of paying attention. He's exhausted by all this. He's scared out of his mind. Well, actually, no, let's see. Mortar just kind of slowly stands up. He's getting used to it just a bit. He says, Yes, I saw this. I touched the magic sword, and I was flying through the sky, and then I came through those doors, and I saw you. You were here. And Hulf takes out the magic sword, and he wields it in front of him. The dragon, Esper, says, "You've come to defeat my brother." And Hulf and Mordred look at each other. They're like, "What the fuck?" Excuse my French. Like, what WTF? He kind of lowers the magic sword and says, "The master? He's your brother." And the dragon kind of basically nods and says, "Yes, unfortunately he is. We are the two remaining Eldorians of this land. His path was quite different than mine. It has been more than..." And he says how many years it's been since he saw the master. "But I don't know where he is now. You expected him to be here, to be in my place." And as he says that, his voice rumbles throughout the area, throughout the chamber, the cathedral, and Hulf notices his wings are starting to decay a bit, and Hulf takes a step forward. Magic sword's kind of down, not drawn or anything, not really a threat. He says, "You're dying, aren't you? I can tell." Mortar kind of examines the dragon as a whole, and he asks the dragon, with his compassion, he says, "What's happening to you?" The dragon sits down and says, "The fight I had with my brother many years ago was the very last I can do to protect this land from people like him, or from beings like him. I am at my very last breath." And then Hulf asks, "If you're here, then where is your brother?" He says, "See, this is the part that I've written into myself. I written myself into a corner. So let's ask the Oracle. I believe the Oracle probably can help here." Okay, so his brother, the Master, who we now found out. Actually, let's go to the docs here. Basically, he's brothers of the Master, and the dragon used to be. Let's see, inspired by. He's used to be an Eldorian, but we don't know how he became a dragon. Unknown how he became a dragon. That might be a future episode. We can solve that later, but I can erase he's dormant. He's no longer dormant. He's dying. We know that. Brothers of the Master. Oh, yeah. Right. I wrote that already. Just now. I can't recall. Now, the Master, who is the Temple of the Dragon, he is, let's see, brothers to the Esper Dragon. But he is a shapeshifter. So, we can't forget that he wants the dragon's body. But he did not know the dragon was dying. So, the Hulf, let's backtrack a bit. He says, Hulf says, "Where is your brother, then, dragon?" The dragon takes a moment to think. He says, "My brother, despite our differences, he was here moments ago. I believe he was here to take my physical form for himself. But seeing my conditions, I am no longer suitable for this realm." And he starts kind of like lose a little bit of his. He starts kind of like deteriorate, like his skin starts to fall apart. Just, "You too must know. My brother, countless years ago, as he's struggling to breathe and struggling to talk. Like, we literally caught him on the tail end of his death. So he says, "My brother, as you call the master, he is the chosen for the darkness." And he drops down a little bit, shakes the ground, and the whole chamber shakes, and the chandeliers and the ceilings start to shake. He says, "You must understand his ways of the Dark One." And the dragon looks to Mordor and reads their minds, Mordor and Hulf, and says, "You both have been there, the Dark Realms. You have seen what it can do to people, to your own kind." And Hulf says, yes, we've been in the Dark Realms." Looks to Mordor, and Mordor says, "Yes, I've been there, my father." And the dragon explains. He looks to Hulf and says, "The magic sword. I forged that weapon myself of my own divine energies. Use it to defeat him." And Hulf looks at the magic sword. Says, "Yes, but again, where is your brother?" And the dragon looks to Hulf once more and says, "Oh, right. We need to roll the oracle here to see where his brother is." So 65 intrigues and an action intrigues 44 intrigues release. Hmm. Let's do one more for this subject. I'm not a fan of intrigue. So release. So 44 is release. We're doing 83. Release riches. Oops, sorry. Okay, so where could he be? Release riches. I know exactly where he is. Remember, the Temple of Dragon was destroyed. It's no longer useful. The magic sword, we have to mention this here. So let's go to Esper Peak. Forged the magic sword with his own powers. I did say divine power, but that might just be an egotistical thing he said himself. He thinks of himself as a god. He is powerful. He's a reality bender, but it's not like some divine godly energies. It's just something that humans can't comprehend. So maybe a divine energy? I don't really. Again, I'm not really digging that deep into my own lore here. So he forged, not forged, forgot. I think I made that sword. I don't know. Forged. There we go. Forged the magic sword. That will definitely be bold here. Actually, that's probably very important. We're going to mention that here. The master is currently at Barco Island. All right. So right now he's at Barco Island. Here's what happens. Before Esper passes away here in moments, it turns into a rug, um, or a pile of dust on the rug. Basically, he says, "My brother saw my end. Despite him being in a dark form, powered by the dark realms, the entity, as you call him." And Holf and like Mortar, the entity. Holf says, "Yes, the entity is the embodiment of the dark realms. Beware his powers. But I see you too have strangely enough survived him, his influence. Your will is stronger than you think. Together, potentially able to overcome it." So he's basically saying that Mortar and Hulf, they have plot armor. They are the main characters of the show. They are able to, for the most part, I should say, fight off the influence of the entity, the Dark One. So he says, "My brother, he has returned to our home, or he's returned to Barco Island. He has went to seek the power of the orb." At, and before he's about to say it, he's about to say, "At Bar." And he just slowly, his eyes close and he just turns to dust. He just withers away and his body just turns into a giant pile of dust and just floats onto the ground and covers the entire floor. Mortar and Hulk are like looking in disgust or in surprise at seeing the dragon just disappears. So the dragon is dead. Let's go to Esper Peak, and basically the dragon is dead. So died, withered away, pile of dust. Okay. Mentioned partially, I should say, partially, that Master is at Argo Island. Okay. Now, as the dragon withers away, they appear back outside the path leading up to the doorway, but the door's not there anymore. They, in a blink of an eye, they're back outside. The door is now just the tip of the cliff of the mountain. They are at the top of the mountain, and they're looking around in disbelief. The chamber's gone. Looking around, and Mortar's like, "Where are we? What happened?" Ulf is looking just dead eye at the path in front of him. He looks down and you can see the land of Escabur. They're about 5,000+ feet up. He's looking around and says to his brother, "It looks like the Esper dragon and his home hath left this mortal coil. We must go, brother. We must return back to Horwood and prepare for Barco Island." So the dragon barely said bar, and Wolf thinks it's Barco Island, which he's familiar with. I think most people are probably familiar with Barco Island. It's a restricted area. You can't really go there. It's ancient dark, blah, blah, blah. And Mortar is like, "Barco Island? You mean..." And again, let's go to our menu here. Barco Island is basically right here. So Rolf explains that before we close this episode, he puts his hand on Mortar's shoulders and says, "Brother, you must return back home. I must continue this mission I must continue this quest myself. Can you do this for me?" Mortar's like, "No, no, you can't go by yourself, brother. I must come with you." He says, "You must keep father safe. Protect Glera. They are your family now. I will not be going at this alone. I will have help." And Mortar's confused. He's like, "What do you mean?" Wolf looks into the sunset as the sun is about to set. Or I mean, it's like, not high noon, but like early, let's say late afternoon. The sun's just over the horizon. He says, there is someone I know that may be able to help me. Someone very skilled in this." I'm trying to think how to close this off. My apologies, it's very difficult. Basically trying to say that there's somebody he knows that can help him here. And let's actually roll to see who it is. So, subject, 39. Let's see. News, that works. News, 46. Develop. Okay, this works. News develops. Okay, so basically, Holf looks into the distance, the southwest. He's pretty good with that, with directions. He looks to the very southwest. He points in some vague direction that it would be the southwest. And he says, "I have an old friend. Very talented, very skilled. I believe I should pay a visit to him." And if this was a movie, the camera would truck out, showing Mortar and Hulk standing at the top of the peak, and the camera is zooming through the sky, south. So let's follow the arrow. It leaves our two heroes, like so. You know what? My apologies. We're gonna backtrack here, retcon. I'm not happy with that ending. Not happy with what they say. So here's what they're gonna do. Let's summarize. Hulk does not tell Mortar to just get the hell out of here, go back home. He says basically, if we are going to fight the Master, we need help. And I believe I know someone who can help us. And as he looks to the direction southwest, Mortar also looks. That's it. That's all they say. So my apologies. I just want to make this gripping and cinematic and great closure for these two. The camera zips away all the way down through the central divide, over Castle Emberstock, through the forest of I completely forgot the name of Greywood Forest and sorry, Greenwood Forest, and right here it shows Cornerstone. The camera zips through the clouds and starts to descend onto Corewood. Sorry, Cornerstone. Cornerstone will be the next arc, and will reveal the character that Hulk just happens to know. And that's it. We are closing off the arc. We're officially closing the arc between Mortar and Hulk. Not final. That this is not the end of them, but it's going to be for some time. So if I did say that this was like the last of it for them, my apologies. I was kind of mistaken. I'm basically saying the next arc is completely different character, complete different scenario, and it will probably take place. I don't know yet. This next character will either take place maybe the very same time as this is happening, or in the past. So yeah, that's it. It's officially over. The Master. Let's do some closing details. The Master is at Barco Island, which I don't have a. So let's do this. Let's do add. We're doing Barco Island. I'll put this right here. We'll copy this. Barco Island. It's a tower for now. Could be a size we don't know yet. Founded we don't know yet. And the Master is currently here. Now, let's go to our timeline and say that Mortar and Hulk spoke to Esper Dragon before he died. Mentioned Master is at Barco Island. Now camera moved. Focuses on Cornerstone. There we go. And that's it. So the next arc will be Cornerstone. You know what's interesting about all this? I almost closed off this entire world setting. I was going to be like, all right, you know what? Try something different, like sci-fi, post-apocalyptic, cyberpunk. But no. Escabur has become so vast in my eyes. This is the biggest world setting I've done myself. Again, compared to other existing world settings out there, this is like puny. But to me, this is growing pretty vibrantly. And I want to retire these characters just for a bit. I want to focus on the next character, completely new character, more grounded in reality, no very minimal magic, almost no magic, and more in the streets. So, which I was almost intending for Mortar, but things, we dragons and reality bending, etc. So that is going to be the closing. I hope you enjoyed all the arcs. Let's see. Dark Realms, Past Echoes, Mortar's Travels, To the South, the current one we're in, which was Legend of Esper, at 5 arcs, I think. 50 plus episodes, 50, 56, 57 episodes of this setting, including AI, in the first 12 episodes. So I really do hope you guys enjoyed. And the next arc will be EZD6. So I'm excited. as you guys probably noticed in the first half of this, the first part of this video, talking about the whole DM Scotty comment. And as far as in my opinion, I liked it, and I did indeed enjoy using this random game I found, Chronica Feudalis, which is very lesser known, or it's not not insanely popular right now, but there's there's a very few hints of it on the web, like one or two YouTube videos besides mine, and I'm happy to give it a chance, some light, as small as it might have been. But in other words, thank you for watching these 5 arcs, and I hope the next one you guys enjoy and looking forward to. So, as always, Escabur, we'll see you next time, and thank you for watching. Take care.